In the previous tutorial, we learnt how to make requests in Android using intents. This tutorial is going to be a follow-on from that, and we're going to learn how to catch the response back from those requests. Welcome to Mobile Application Tutorials. My name's Nigel. Okay, so we've made a request to Android using intents, and the request was from the previous tutorial, opening up a document and selecting an image. Now we want to jump back into our application and access the information that we would have got back in our response. So let's make a start with that. Okay, so go into your source code here. And what we're going to do is do a result callback. And what that means is, in Android, we can make lots of requests to various things, whether it's downloading an image from the internet, or loading a local image, or making a request to a particular application. Now, these things can take time. They can take a lot of time. And you don't want your code stuck there just waiting for that. So we use the Android mechanism, which will call back to our application when there's information to process. And we're going to call one of those methods. So it's an overridden method. So this override, public void. Now here's the key bit. It's onActivityResult. So this will be called back once another application's processed our request and completed that request, and it jumps back into application with the results of that. So first argument here is going to be the request code. Remember, we set up a request code here in this line. So we need to check for that request code because our application could have made lots of requests. So we've got to make sure we pick out the right request. So put the request code as an argument. Next is we're going to set the result code. What this means is whether or not the result was successful. So we sent a request to Android OS, or it could have been a request to another application. This will tell us whether or not a request was successful or not. And the last thing is another intent that gets returned to us, and let's just call it, we need an uppercase I for intent. And let's just call it result data. So if we get any results sent back to us, the result will be encapsulated in this intent here. Okay, so we've got the method call here. The first thing we want to do is we want to do a check. Let's do a check on the request code. So let's just check that the request code equals what we actually sent out to it. If we look here in the start activity result, you can see we sent the request open result code. So let's do a check to see that int request open result code has come back to us. Okay, and it's good to do another check here on the result code as well. This will be whether or not it was successful. And we've got result OK. This is provided to us by Android OS. So if the application or Android OS has successfully processed our result, it should set this result OK back to us. If both these things are set, we're good to go. We've got the information we can sort of read in from the result data as such. So what we want to do is to get a URI, which is just basically the location of the data we want to process. And the end result of this is going to be a bitmap to show in our display. But in this tutorial, we just want to make sure we are getting a valid URI return back. So let's create a URI first. Set it to null. Now let's check to see that we've got data in the result, in the intent result data. So let's make sure that this is not equal to null. So we want to check it's got something inside it. Okay, and now we can just call our URI and get the result data intent. And from there we can call getData, which will return the URI, the address of any data that we can process. And that's as far as I want to go, because all we wanted to do is to get the valid address of the data returned back. Remember, these are beginner tutorials, nice and short. Okay, next step here is just to run the application. Make sure the application still runs okay. We don't see any bugs. Let me record that so you can see what's happening. So again, we've got the browser started up. I'll select any image here. And we've now gone back into our application here. Now, I would have expected we would have gone into the callback here. We are still seeing no data because we haven't yet processed the bitmap and put the bitmap into an image view. But that's okay, that's okay. The application is running okay, that's all I wanted to see, so we can stop that. Okay, now for the final part of this tutorial, I just want to do a little bit of debugging. I just want to check that URI does have some valid data. So we set it up here. We've got the URI will hold the result of the result data that was returned back to us. So I'm just going to select breakpoint here. Now let's go up to here and select Debug App. Now again, I will have to select an image. Now I've gone back into the code here. Let's step through that. First of all, we want to check to see if our result was successful and we're getting the right request open result code back, which it should be. We have, so the criteria is successful, we're looking good, we create a URI. Now we want to check to see if our result data here has actually got any data in it. So let's step down. It does. Okay, and let's just step. As you can see down here, the URI is null. Let's just step down once more. And as you can see here, the result data does hold basically what's a description of an address here. And that's the information there. So it's a content provider, but it's got an image and a number there. So I'm relatively okay with that at the moment. I'll just scroll down here. There you can see the data there. So we definitely do have data. We just didn't want to see null as such. Okay, so I want to complete the tutorial at this stage. Nice small tutorial as such. In the next tutorial, we will load an image to display. So we will finally get there, but that won't be the final tutorial. There's going to be lots of enhancements and doing things the proper way following on after that. And so, but that completes at this stage. To get notified of the later tutorials and any new tutorial series that I put together, click on the subscribe button down below. And if you want to keep updated with all my latest updates, I do upload these code changes to GitHub, and I do have a website which is directly above me as well, and that contains all the information, so everything collated together, the video, the details on GitHub, and the explanations of the code changes we make as well. But you can keep track of my progress on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Google Plus as well. That's all for this one. Bye for now.